hello, and welcome to the Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where everything in reality is being spilled tonight. And we are talking about Big Brother Canada tonight. My name is Lana. I am your resident diva, you know, fabulous and all. And I'm excited to be here and seeing all of my favorite people to talk to. So, hi, y'all.
Hi everyone, I'm Logan Murphy, just a gay, here with G Fuel, because when am I not drinking that? Because it's caffeine and that keeps me alive.
Period. And hey baddies, y'all know it's a girl Tasha with the fatty, here to give you some tea for you and me.
Period.
I feel like it's been 84 years since I've seen Tasha, so I'm very happy to see Tasha.
I'm actually in a different country right now on safari. Yeah.
Period. We love it.
We love that we're all back together again. It's been a minute. It's been a minute, but we're here. And we're talking about Big Brother Canada. Very exciting that we get to talk about this show, but not very excited about this week because this week was something else.
This has easily been one of the most chaotic weeks I've seen in a long time. Like, we thought week one of BB23 was bad, and it's not that bad, but it's like almost there on a similar level, but very different.
Yeah, and it's literally week two.
Like, literally week two.
Help. Like, if this is where we're going, if this is the trajectory of this season, oh my God. Okay. So let's jump right in it. Logan, get us started and tell us all of the stuff we need to know. Because tonight's episode, I jumped in about 10 minutes later because I was doing something. So I don't know the first 10 minutes. When I got in, HOH had already started. So
okay, so not much happens before that HOH comp. We do see, sadly, Melina was the first evicted. Sad, but she blew up her own game.
I was about to say, so expected.
Yeah, it's sick, but we move forward. Kevin is happy to still be here. And he won his $500, so good on ya.
Wait. So let me talk about Melina for a second, because if we recalled in the precast assessments, we liked Melina. We all said we liked her, but with her bio and with what she was saying, we was like, she's not going to last at all. Because number one, you can't go in a game with 60 or however many people and say, I don't like people. Like, that's not going to work. And then it's like, all I'm worried about is me. And I only signed up because I wanted to make a coworker upset. Because
that's summer. That's summer.
Oh, that's summer. No,
that's summer. No, Melina in her pre-show interview was very much so like, I don't like people.
Right.
I'm like, I'm kind of antisocial. I want to start a women's alliance, like down with the men situation, which like a lot of that on paper is really, really good. But unfortunately in Big Brother Canada, that's just not a mentality.
Have to at least like people. Yeah. You have to at least like people.
Like, someone told Melina, like, this is a social strategy game, right? You have to be social.
So you can't be antisocial and expect to do well in a game like this. So I was very much like, I hated it for her, but very much understood and knew what was coming with that. From her bio and her video, I was like, oh, cute girl. Look, beautiful gowns.
Beautiful gowns.
But okay, and Kevin, let me talk about Kevin for a second too, because I know what I said about Kevin, and I still mean what I said about Kevin. I'm not a fan, but I actually think he might be pretty decent at this game. And that is from tonight's episode 2 that I was like, okay, Kevin, I might not like you, and I might not like the fact that you just, like, you're purposely trying to be the villain. Like, I like organic villains, like just villains where they just happen to become a villain, but then they still own at the fact, like, you know what? if I'm the villain, I'm the villain. But he is literally coming in the game saying, I want to be a villain, which is kind of a turnoff for me. But I do think he is actually pretty decent at this game. What he did to Melina, I was like, yes, that was a villain move. But it wasn't a bad move. He was on the block too, so he had to protect himself. So it wasn't like it was a villain, like,
Yeah.
Like it's a survival mood.
Right. It wasn't like an evil dick move. It was just like I'm trying to stay off the block and blah blah blah.
And for that, Kevin gets half a kudo.
Right, a half a kudo. Half. But yeah, so I get it, and I'm like, that's cool. I don't think I think he's a decent player, but my stance about him still stands. I don't really like him that much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so prior to the HOH, really the only other thing we really see is the formation of the Savage 7 Alliance, which we saw on feeds. Thank you to DM Rocks for
I think we were both doing the same thing.
We both did it at the same time. Mm-hmm. So that Savage 7 Alliance, which we kind of speculated about because of the like ice in your veins, like sheesh bullshit that was happening in the voting last week. But it is Moose, Gino, Josh, Erman, Kyle, Summer, and Tanisha. And that is the dominant alliance currently in the game. We'll talk about some other alliances when we get to the live feed portion of the evening, because that is the dominant alliance, but there are a lot of other factions that are forming in the game. And we see Jess is still being outcast. They're like, I need to win. Point blank, I need to win.
Jess is kind of intense, and I understand why. Like, I get you wanting to play because you're a fan, but their intensity is a lot, and I think that's why they have become the house target. Because, like, watching tonight, I was like, I like Jess, but I think Jess needs to learn how to rein it in a little bit. Because even when even when they weren't in trouble, they were acting as if they were in trouble, and it was very passionate and it was like unnecessary. You have to have an equal balance to this game, and I feel like if Jess doesn't calm down, the next time anybody, I'm thinking in the Savage 7 is, if anybody in the Savage 7 is in charge or HOH, they are probably gonna go up. So I just think they need to calm down. I really like Jess. I really want Jess to do well, but they really got to calm down.
It gives me a little bit of Ryan from BB Can 6, because we saw him go into the game as a super fan and really truly like there was a lot of intensity there with Ryan, and I feel a very similar way with the way Jess has been playing so far. I think this is going to be a good week for them to sort of lay a little bit lower if they can, maybe try to build some personal relationships if they can, but we'll see what happens. I'm hoping for the best for them, but I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be rough, I fear.
I honestly, based on how things are going currently, I think it's going to be rough for all three of our queer people this season. We'll talk about it.
Yes.
It's just, but we move on to the HOH comp. Now, Taja, I didn't catch the name of the HOH comp. I think it was Wipeout.
It was, listen, I think you're right. I don't know. As soon as I saw that, I got winded just looking at it. I wasn't even up there. And so I was already patting my forehead, sweating. I was like, oh my gosh, because I know I'd have broke my leg like 5 seconds in. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to call this comp Wipeout because I don't know what it was called. But you have to balance on a surfboard. While balancing a watermelon. I'm like, someone on this BBCN production is a Beyonce fan.
Watermelon.
I was like, so you have to balance this tiny watermelon.
On your surfboard.
On your surfboard, going back and forth, and the last person remaining wins. Now, we did hear on feeds, like, because feeds came back right after this comp ended, and we were all like, what was this comp? Because people were talking about, like, balance and balls, and, like, we were all so confused as to what the comp was. I actually like this comp. I think it's very... I saw some people talking about it on feeds, and I don't remember who it was, but they were like, this is a comp where, like, you don't need a whole lot of skill to win. You just need, like, a good amount of, like, focus.
Right.
And, like, endurance helps, but it's not, like, necessary.
If you can stand up and rock and make sure you got a good balance, then it's...
and a good rhythm going.
And a good rhythm, because you had to keep it moving, right? I want to know, how did Gino get that watermelon behind him?
Right.
Like, a lot of people did at certain points, because if you, like, if you tilt it to one side and you let the watermelon go too far up, it could curve and then go behind you.
Yeah.
I couldn't pay attention when he was talking about he had to look between his legs.
Right, look between his legs and behind him. I was like, ooh.
I was like, me too, Gino.
I was like, I was looking too. I was looking too.
Well, here's the issue. Like, he's very, very nice to look at, but I don't think he's done a leg day in a while. And that's where I, like, had a bit of an issue, because, like, I need a full rounded situation in my man's is, and I don't think he's done leg day recently. Then again, I don't think most of the men that work out in this house have done leg day recently. So it's whatever. We move on.
My tactic strategy would have just been to keep it moving, like, that not far, just walk.
That's what Jess was doing. They were doing like a 1, 2, 3 counting situation,
right?
Where they were going back and forth, and it worked for them for a while, because they lasted pretty long into the competition. The early eliminations, and are early for me in this case, meaning like before 20 minutes, were in order. We had Betty dropping first.
Betty!
I just would like to discuss how much I love Betty.
Please do.
I love Betty. I appreciate Betty. She was very clearly cast to be the new Spicy V, and I'm not mad about it in the slightest. Because I think she's lovely and wonderful and great. But yeah, so Betty drops first, then Moose, then Helena. We will do a lot of discussing about Helena later, because that's my winner pick. Then Summer drops, then we have Kevin drop, then Jay, and then JC Lynn, and then Josh makes it almost to the 20-minute mark, I believe, but falls off a little bit before that. So at this point, we're left with 6 in the comp, and it's Steph, Gino, Marty, Tanisha, Kyle, and Jess. Which, looking at like the athleticism level of these 6 people, it's very all over the place. So Jess had been doing very well with their like back and forth situation of like counting 1, 2, 3, okay, back, 1, 2, 3, okay, back, and it worked for them for a while, but they did drop at 24 minutes. Then it was a 5-horse race for a good amount of time until sadly Tanisha drops. We'll talk about Tanisha too, because I'm loving Tanisha so far. And then it was a 4-horse race until Kyle slips up and falls around 42 minutes or so. Kyle is an enigma. We'll talk more about Kyle later. But
tomato.
Yeah.
And all the Kyle fans can fight me if they want, but tomato. But regardless, we'll talk about that later.
Yes. I do want to bring up, while Kyle was in the comp, we do hear between Kyle, Marty, Steph, and Gino, they kind of sort of make a 4-person deal where they're not going to put each other up. And then Marty keeps exaggerating that constantly, while doing all of the rocking back and forth. Kyle drops around 42 minutes, and then Gino drops shortly after, and it's down to Steph and Marty. And Marty's like, "Steph, you're good. Steph, I can't do his accent, but I'm like, Steph, you're good. Steph, you're good.
Want to be good. Come on, just go stay on the horse.
That's a pretty good Marty. I'll give you that. But yeah, Marty's like, Steph, you're good. Steph, you're good. And meanwhile, we see both of them in confessional being like, I don't think I trust this person. I don't know if I trust Steph. I don't know if I trust Marty.
Well, here's my thing about that is, okay, so Marty like kept reassuring Steph, we're good, you're good. And Steph was kind of like, oh yeah, I know. Like it would like, okay. As soon as Steph like fell back, because she fell back, she did not give him the comp, just so everyone knows. Like she was not like, didn't extend this olive branch to him. If he wouldn't have been like, you know what, you're still safe with me, you're still, you're so safe with me, blah, 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 blah. I wouldn't have honored the deal. I'm like, you didn't step off for me. You fell, baby girl.
Right.
So now your ass is going up.
Yeah, I agree. Like, he had no reason to stay with the deal or honor that deal because, like you said, he offered and she was like, no, I hear you, Marty. I hear you, but you fell. So at that point, all bets are off. Yeah, I don't owe you anything. And yeah.
Sorry guys, spoiler alert. Marty won the HOH. Sorry.
We were there. It doesn't matter. But
Marty wins HOH. And if I was Marty, I would have been like, if Stephanie is the one I want up, I would have put up Stephanie. But
yeah.
I mean, and so even after that, like I watched and I was sitting there like, Stephanie, you really got some balls to be walking up at that HOH. Like, are you gonna honor the deal? Hell no, I'm not honoring no deal. There was no deal. You didn't step off for me. You fell. The deal was if you give it up, if you get off, I'll keep you safe. But I guess Marty takes his, deal making differently than me because I would not honor that.
I know for a good fact, Marty, in his mind, knew exactly who he was targeting before he won HOH. We'll
for sure. Sure.
Yeah, it's a whole lot. Marty's HOH reveal to you. Wendy's is back. Cool, whatever. He does pick Tanisha, and we'll talk about their conversation when it comes up, when they actually have their Wendy's. But yeah, Steph talks to Marty. We then got, we knew it was coming, a good old Gino thirst segment. Everybody's thirsty over Mr. Gino. And like, to be fair, the rest of us are too. So it's not just them. But yeah. And then of all people to want to see a showmance, it's Tanisha.
That's why I was shocked to hear that. She's like, I want to, but the fact of the matter is she doesn't want to be in a showmance. She wants to see a showmance. She's like, I just want to see y'all together. But honestly, for me, I think it's a setup because everybody know when you try to put a showmance together, it's the power couple and people be trying to gun for them. I don't know if she's thinking that way, like for real, but for me, it seems very set her up-ish because I'm like, you might like somebody. I'm not going to wish somebody had seized this,
Right.
But it's okay. I find it hilarious, though. I find it funny that she wants to see the setup, and she is Team Stephanie in this matter, and she's going to set Gino and Stephanie up. That is the plan. That is what she's going to do.
For that moment.
And then I'm going to jump a few segments ahead, but we'll come.
Sure.
This is what we're talking about. Then we see Gino playing chess with Stephanie, and Stephanie is
that's so old.
and
Stephanie's like a teacup.
It's like a teacup. The base is like a wine glass. It's just very flirty.
That probably works for her, like outside.
Definitely works for her outside the house. Sure it works for her outside the house. Everyone. And she knows it, and that's why she does it. And it's like, it's and Gino is very much aware of her flirting. He was like, "Oh yeah, she's flirting with me. It's fine. It is what it is." He's probably so used to women flirting with him too, so he's kind of like, "I get it. She's doing it." But then Gino very much informs the Canada and the world watching that Stephanie's cute, but he has his eye on someone else, and it's JC Lynn, and he's just enamored with the blue eyes of JC Lynn. And
if it's gonna be a white woman, I'm happy it's JC Lynn and not Steph.
I was hoping it was Summer, but I was like, okay.
Listen.
But
too much melanin for him, I fear.
Me fears. But yeah, he's just enamored with JC Lynn, and she's just like we could talk about JC Lynn again. We'll talk about JC Lynn again later.
We have a lot of talking about JC Lynn to do.
But so Gino just informs us that he has a little crush on JC Lynn. And then so when Tanisha does go on the mission to talk to Gino before Stephanie, he's like, Stephanie's cute. But yeah, JC.
No.
And it was like, oh, and Tanisha's like, oh, so you got a thing for it. Well, sorry, Steph. It is
mission failed.
Yeah, literally. And I just love that it was like a conversation with it was Tanisha and Betty, wasn't it? Where he was like, yeah, and then Tanisha's like, oh no. Sorry, girl. Like, but yeah, I'm interested to see if this actually becomes something, because I also appreciated that JC Lynn was like, Gino's hot, yeah, but he could be an asset to me, so I'm gonna keep him close regardless of how I feel. Right, and she did. Or she was like, if something comes from it, that's great. But right now, he's an asset for me, and she's not trying to make it out to be something more than it is and what it ain't. And for that, I give JC Lynn a quarter of a kudo. I'm saying a quarter. Literally. But I won't even close it all the way. Sure, that's fair. Speaking of Big Brother Canada showmances, did y'all see the new show, The Courtship, and who's on it from BB Can Past? Derek from season 6. Mm-hmm. I was gagged. I was like, oh. You go get that woman. She's beautiful, so you go get that, Derek. Like, do you really want that, Derek? Though, do you? Do you? I ask all those men in that line who on that show, I'm like, is that really what y'all looking for? Or are you looking for TV? Because I wish I had time to watch The Courtship, because I'd love to cover it, but I might have to binge it and just what if we do that? What if we just like binge it and watch it and just talk about it all in one? I'm down. Honestly, I'm down for that, because I'm interested in watching it, but I'm like, I know I'm not gonna have time to regularly schedule to watch it. So so watch out for that in the near future, maybe. Question mark. Yes, we then get a series of Marty conversations, obviously, because he's the HOH. It starts with Kevin, where Kevin is saying that people seem to think that he's a smart guy. He says that like 50% of the house thinks he's like playing up this whole shtick. 50% think that he's like a smart guy, both of which he's doing and is. So that. And then Kevin does throw JC, Lynn, and Steph under the bus, but also Jay. And I'm going to bring this up because this is the first time that we see Jay get misgendered by Marty. We're going to come back to that discussion later, but I want to point that out now because this is the first time we see it on the show. This instance of Marty misgendering Jay. We'll close that for a second. We'll come back to it. But I loved this. I loved this move from Kevin. Like, I know Kevin is not my absolute favorite. I have to say I'm respecting the hell out of the way he's playing this.
He's doing a good job.
Because ultimately, he's kind of the reason why the Noms were what the Noms were. I think Marty had it in the back of his mind that he wanted to make a big move and just didn't know who it was. And Kevin giving him the ammo of saying Jay's name makes Marty think, okay, maybe I will put them up.
I agree. I think Kevin, like I said, not my favorite on this cast, but definitely respect how he is playing the game thus far. He might make me change my mind back to revert to my old ways again. But as of right now, I will actually give him a full kudo.
Same.
I'm saving my full kudo for a woman of color. So when that time comes.
No. A woman of color gets kudos. Plural.
Period.
He gets
claps, standing ovation.
Right. He gets a kudo.
I might fire a gun into the air a couple times.
We
all gonna be running.
The exclamation, you did what needed to be done. That we save for our women of color, potentially our queer people, but we're gonna keep that.
He gets a kudo. A full kudo.
That's why I said I don't like Kevin at all. I don't like his face. Don't like him scurrying for cheese around the house, making noises, scratching walls. But like, you know what? He's doing this. I'm gonna fully say he's one of my favorite game players right now. He's not one of my favorite people. He's not one of my favorite characters. But I have to give him the acknowledgement that he is playing a really good game at this point. I said it in our cast assessment. Give me a few weeks, and I might change my mind about Kevin. And I'm starting. It's ramping up. I just need to see where he goes from here. And I honestly think despite the show that he's putting on, I really think being on the block week 1 humbled him just ever so slightly to the point where maybe now a little bit of it might be more real than he wanted it to be. That's where I'm at this point.
I agree.
But after Kevin, we see Jess talk to Marty. Jess is keeping them because of the potential threat of people like Steph, people like JC Lynn, people that would put Marty on the block, whereas they are not coming for Marty. This conversation was frustrating, and I watched part of this on feeds because they just kept talking over each other.
That's one thing.
Go ahead, Tasha.
Well, that's one thing that I've noticed. I wouldn't be able to hold my tongue because I'd be like, can you shut the fuck up and let me finish my sentence? And that's one issue I had with Jess is Jess didn't really know when to recoil. And sometimes I think they in their mind, I don't know. But a lot of the time it is talking over. And I'm just I'll be watching feeds and I'm just oh Lord, please. It was too much.
I understand being on the block probably paranoid them, and they're paranoid about, who is HOH or blah, blah, blah. But you can't go to the HOH and literally tell them what they need to do. This is what you need to do because this is how you have to play. Because baby, if that was me, I'd be like, who you talking to?
Right.
Don't talk. I understand your passion. I understand you want to play, but you need to calm down just a little bit, and we can have a discussion. And the discussion is both ways, back and forth, not me starting and you stopping me because you're talking over me. And I feel like a lot of them did not expect Marty to win that HOH, and they didn't put in the work that they needed to put in with Marty, and they got surprised by Marty, and now they're scrambling, and it's like it's a little too late to do that when you haven't put in the work prior to that.
I honestly believe in my heart of hearts that if most other house guests won the HOH this week, Marty would have been a nominee.
Oh, for sure.
Or at least in the consideration. It probably would have been some combination of Jess, Kevin, and Marty.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, no, everything you said, I completely agree with. But we break up the Marty conversations for just a moment to see a conversation with Tanisha and Kyle, where Tanisha is saying she doesn't feel 100% safe, but she feels at least decently okay. And this is the start of this sort of weird situation going on with our good friend Kyle Moore. Now, he is very confident he's in this majority alliance, which we said he would probably do. He is feeling comfortable, which he needs to not be doing.
No, I want him to feel so comfortable that he doesn't see the writing on the wall and that he eventually gets betrayed and evicted. I want him to feel like he is on top of the world. I don't want him to feel like his back is against the wall. No, Kyle, you're so in with everyone. Good for you. Don't notice the signs, please, because I want a blind side. I want his frog face ass out this bitch. Please, pre-jury, so I don't have to deal with him. I'm sorry, I cannot stand Kyle. I just took the ground he walks on. Kyle fans, if y'all want to fight me, come fight me. Y'all see below the Twitter. It's just too much sometimes.
Okay, so I was off Twitter, didn't watch the live feeds. But then when I came back, it was a lot of
Kyle, and I said
yes.
Yeah.
So what happened?
We'll dive into it. That is the bulk of the live feed portion is the Kyle Moore of it all. Specifically Kyle versus Jay.
Okay.
Where I don't think either one of them look super great in this situation, but that's the bulk of that. So I'm gonna get through the rest of the episode stuff real quick, so that way we can dive into that, because that's a whole other disaster. Tanisha and Marty get their Wendy's. Marty gets a message from the season 1 winner by default, Jillian, who's looking beautiful, though. She's looking beautiful gowns.
Beautiful gowns.
Lovely gowns. She was like my third favorite player, I'll be honest, on BB Can 1. So like whatever. But obviously Team Gary for always and forever. Team Gary and Team Hala and Team not Team Taja. Team Topaz.
I mean, we are Team Taja, but you know.
We are Team Taja, obviously, but it makes me think, are we just gonna get a message from a BB Can winner every single week? Okay, boring, cool. I'm excited to see John Party's face next week, I guess. I'm excited to see Sarah. I'm excited to see Paris. I'm excited to see Sean. I'm excited to see all of them. Everybody else, beautiful gowns.
And I'd rather get a message from like Ika,
Dre, Cassandra,
exactly.
Karen.
Oh, not really Karen anymore.
I want to hear from Karen. I want to hear from Karen just to yell at me and just be like, "You're stupid."
I thought we didn't like Karen anymore.
Why didn't we like Karen anymore?
I thought she made a homophobic comment. I could be very wrong, but
I don't know. I didn't hear
if y'all have information, let us know. I feel like there's a reason. I realized the other day I wasn't following Karen anymore, and I feel like there was a rereason for it, but I don't remember. Anyway, but yeah, Tanisha and Marty are eating their Wendy's, talking in mostly French, which I love. It's hard to understand on feeds. For me, I understand like 40% of the French conversations because I'm currently learning French. So there are times where I can key in and times where I key out. This is, again, we're going to bring up Jay being misgendered by Marty. I love Tanisha for correcting him. I was like, that is an ally. That is an ally. Because I feel like most other people in that situation wouldn't have even bothered. But
and a lot of people haven't. A lot of people, him just saying it, And I'm like, if you're a true ally, and even like I said this earlier this week, if you're a true ally to your trans friends and non-binary friends, when you see one of your mutuals say he or whatever, you can just say, oh, just letting you know it's them, they, them, you know what I mean? And if your mutual, your friend, your whatever continues to be ignorant, that's when you can be like, okay, well, you're clearly not respectful at all. This is over. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not hard. It's really not hard.
It's not. Oh, go ahead.
It's not. It's hard, but it's learnable. You can definitely learn.
Well, especially on Twitter, when you type stuff, like the switch up can be so real. I understand, like in person, like cause sometimes when I'm talking to my friends, I'm like, oh well, that's what she was saying. I'm sorry, that's what they were saying, blah blah.
Yeah.
Right.
On Twitter.com, I'm like, y'all, like at this point, I just feel like a lot of people are just like they don't care.
Yes, I agree with
that. The other big thing I was going to mention is even the BB Can live feed Twitter accounts are misgendering them. That's a fucking problem. I unfollowed 3 live feed accounts this week because they misgendered Jay and Jess and refused to say anything about it. And it's like, you can have an opinion about how they're playing the game. You can have an opinion about who they are as a person. But at the end of the day, don't fucking misgender them because that's fucked up.
I mean, underscore updates would never.
I mean, like... I mean, but like it literally is just if you type he, because like when you're drawing the updates and you're doing fast and you type and you misgender them, it's easy as going back under the comment and say, my bad, I meant they. Like seriously, right in that same band, like I'll update, sorry y'all, I meant they.
Instead and that's why, like, I will say one of my favorite live feed reviewers, I'm gonna give a shout out. They probably won't see this, but Mad Rose D, Maddie, and Janet, 2 of the most amazing white women I've ever met, I've ever had the pleasure of interacting with. But I actually got involved on their channel because they had asked in one of their reviews, I think it was like episode 1 or 2, like asking about Jess's pronouns specifically. And they were like, if anyone has any more insight, let us know. And I did. It caused a fight on their channel and they defended me. And I was like, that's all. Like they wanted to be knowledgeable about this because they didn't know.
But literally just tell you, it's they, them, or she. They take any one of those pronouns, and that is fine. Jess is my thing. Jess is easy. Jess is like if you say she, that's fine. But if you think about it and you can say they, that's fine too.
Yeah.
But like if Jay is one person who's just they, them. It's really not that difficult to do they, them.
Mm-hmm. And they've done a really good job of respecting pronouns. They just they were confused by it, but we're still respecting it and just wanted more info. And I provided that for them. That was their whole thing. It's not like they were misgendering, but
I'm talking about the fight that happened afterwards. Like, why would anybody have to fight that? Like,
because it's we were born a he or a she. And I'm like, no, you were born a boy or a girl. That's biological sex. Anyway, I'm not having this conversation right now because it's bleh. I hate people.
But anybody can choose what they want to be with their life. I can choose except being who people decide and people make judgments. People decide what they want, and it doesn't matter what they were born. If they're asking you to call them they, them, call them they, them. Be respectful of people's boundaries. Period. It doesn't matter what they're asking you to do. Same thing as when people say, don't call me sis. Don't call them sis. It's just as simple as respecting people's boundaries. And that's why I have a problem with people on all levels of any kind. If somebody's asking you to do this about them or not do this with them, how hard is it not to do that? And if the entitlement of people to say, well, I'm going to call you this because this is what you are.
Bullshit.
Fine, that I'm going to call you what I think you are too.
An asshole.
Which is a bitch. No.
Period.
But the thing is, they make themselves look 10 times worse by purposely misgendering. Because you're letting all your mutuals know. You're letting everyone who checks your media, everything that you do not care.
You don't care.
Yep.
But, So,
anyway, We'll talk more about Marty misgendering Jay because there's more to talk about. Speaking of Jay and Marty, they have a conversation. And Marty says that he's been trying to get close to Jay, but it just hasn't happened. So he has to put them up. Now, obviously, we don't know what happened on the feeds the first 5 days. All we know is that this is how Marty feels about Jay. We don't know if there were any attempts. Right. I'm going to be honest, as much as I love Jay, I feel like Marty's perception is probably correct.
From what I gathered, I think it's probably correct.
It seems like it, yeah. So we'll come back to Jay and Marty. They have another conversation later. We then see Marty going to Moose and Gino, and straight up tells them about his noms, saying that he is going to nominate Jay and JC Lynn. Again, misgenders Jay, but we'll talk more about it later. And then Gino is concerned because he's crushing on JC Lynn. She has beautiful blue eyes. So he goes to tell JC Lynn that she might go up. I thought this was like a good moment of like building trust on a game level, but Lana has other thoughts. So let's go to Lana.
This is where JC Lynn lost me. This is where I was like, girl, bye. JC Lynn, I understand. Nobody wants to be put on the block. Nobody wants to hear that they might be put on the block. Nobody wants to do that. But the privilege and the entitlement and the white girl tears just sprung out for no reason at all. And it was like instant. Like it, I was like, girl, what? It ain't even official yet. He said you might. What? And he's like, are you crying? Like, Gino's like, are you crying? Yes. I'm like,
but I'm a pretty white girl. How can I be on the block week too?
Right. Like, oh my God. Maybe this is just me being a little
desensitized.
Yes, because white girl tears, I'm just over them. I'm over them. Sorry, white girls in all over the world, because it might not be you, but your fellow white girls have ruined it for me, for all of you. I just have no, like, I don't care, because y'all weaponize them so instantly, and then just so much. It's becoming a problem. But then she does it, and she's like, no, it's okay. And it's like, girl, it ain't happening. But then she goes to talk to Marty, and Marty is literally like, we haven't talked. It's not personal. We haven't talked at all. I didn't know if you would have won that, if I would have been on your radar. And and everybody could say, no, you weren't on my radar when they didn't win.
Well, of course they're going to say that because he's HOH.
Right. But it's like, and as soon as he says it, she's like, and I was like, again, girl, like that whole thing. I was like, this girl right here, I don't trust her.
Well, and yeah. Well, and then but even before the JC Lynn and Marty conversation, Gino feels so bad that Gino goes to talk to fucking Marty and is like, are you dead set on this? Because she has beautiful blue eyes. Beautiful blue eyes. It's the new beautiful gowns. Beautiful blue eyes. Yeah, it's just like, it's horrible. She's like, she's saying that she could be a potential number for him moving forward. I'm like, honey, you did not have that man in your plans whatsoever.
At all.
Then again, I feel like if she had won HOH, I feel like she probably would have put up Jess and Kevin.
And Marty would have been a backdoor plan.
And Marty would have been the replacement or backdoor if necessary. But yeah. And then the last thing we see before the nominations is another convo with Jay and Marty. They are just trying to get back into the door. Last ditch effort to not go on the block. But unfortunately, Jay goes straight up there and is like, by making this move, you're drawing a line in the sand. And Marty's like, yes, I know. We're playing Big Brother. It might be too early. It's week 2, but I want to make a big move. And then basically forces Marty to tell them that Jay is his target. And I'm like, Jay, what are you doing, honey?
They just don't. These people don't know how. Like, when you're approaching the HOH, like it's just read the room, girl.
It's 2 weeks in a row now, and I'm like, no, not this.
It's over. It's just
yeah.
It's exhausting.
But we get nominations, and we do know that the noms are Jay and JC Lynn. I do love, because in that last conversation with Marty, Jay is like doing some sort of like analogy where he's like, we were here, but like you were here, and now like it looks like we're taking the long way around. And then when they get up to go sit in the nomination chair, they take the long way around the wheel, and I loved every moment of it.
Listen, if that was kind of petty, I'm like, I would have done something like that. I'd have strutted to the
That is Taja levels of petty. Mm-hmm. That is Taja levels of petty, and I love every moment of it. Marty gives some like bullshit answers, saying that with JC Lynn, he had great life conversations, but they didn't turn into game conversations. But also, communication is a two-way street. If you wanted to have game conversation with JC Lynn, you could have had game conversations with JC Lynn the same way JC Lynn could have had game conversations with you. And it's the same way with Jay. Marty is like, he says that he tried to work with them, but felt like they probably would have nominated him had they won HOH. Now that I don't know. I honestly think, because now we know. Okay, well, actually, I'm going to save that thought for a second. So yeah, that's all we have for the episode. We are going to talk about live feed spoilers. I am throwing the tea time spoiler banner up. If you do not want live feed spoilers, we are going to tell you who won the veto and who the final noms are for the week and all of the bullshit in between. So if you do not want that, this is your time to leave. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you. But if you don't want it, get the fuck out.
You have 5 seconds.
4, 3, 2, 1, period. Okay, because where was I going with that? Oh fuck, Taja, where was I going with that?
The veto winner?
No, I was going fuck me. Oh, because we know now, that's where I was going. Thank you, me, for reminding myself. Because we know Jay is now targeting the big boys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think if Jay had won, I don't think Marty goes up.
No.
Strictly
Marty
based on the fact that he's
mind, really.
Exactly. Because I think if Jay had won HOH, they would have put up probably Gino and Kyle, or Gino and
They
Armand.
would have pulled a Karen.
They would have pulled a Karen. Exactly.
And I would have, or Jessica Milagros. Like,
yes, Jessica.
My nipples are getting hard just thinking about the possibilities.
Same. Boy. But yes. So, okay. So there's a lot to dive into. I'm just going to go through. We'll dive into these a little bit more closely. But I'm just going to go through the veto picks, the veto winner, and the final nominees. Just so we have that on the table. So that's done with. So we know that the nominees are Jay and JC Lynn. Veto players were selected. Obviously, the HOH does not compete in the veto in Canada, which I do like. I don't know how you feel, Taja, but I like it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. We find out that the veto players are Jay and JC Lynn, as well as Helena, Betty, and Josh. 3 great picks.
I feel like this would have been so good for Jay.
This would have been so great for Jay because Josh and Jay had a conversation at some point in the week, basically where Josh was like, there's like an unwritten understanding that like, if I can help you, I'm going to.
Right.
Which I love. I don't know if Josh has also said that for Jess, and I would hope so, but I don't know if that's the case, as there are only 3 queer people in the house. So I would hope that there would be an unwritten understanding. I don't know that to be true as far as Jess is concerned. I think Jay has kind of broken ties with Jess only because they didn't want to be associated with Jess being like the house target.
Yeah.
So unfortunately,
it's understandable, but
totally. I absolutely understand that. But I believe Helena also told Jay that she would have used the veto on them. And Betty is kind of a non-factor.
It was so just
because we then I don't know if you saw anything, Taja. I didn't see anything on what the veto was. I don't think we know what the veto was.
No clue.
But we do know that JC Lynn won the veto.
You know why she won?
Ooh.
Because she has beautiful blue eyes.
Beautiful blue eyes.
Tomato,
blue eyes.
tomato.
The competition was like, take
Yeah.
a picture of your eye, and whoever has the most beautiful eye wins. Mm-hmm.
Truly that. Whoever is the best at being a white woman wins the competition. So we knew JC Lynn was going to take herself off. There was a lot of debate up until the veto meeting as to who Marty was going to put up. There was a lot of moments where it was going to be Kevin. It was pretty much Kevin until today, because the veto meeting happened earlier today. And I don't remember exactly how it shifted. I believe it was Moose. We'll talk about Moose. Moose is doing a lot.
Of course, Moose.
But I believe it was Moose and Kevin together got into Marty's head. And obviously JC Lynn used the veto on herself today at the veto ceremony. And the final noms for the week, I am so sad I even have to say these two together because this is gross and disgusting. It's Jay and Betty.
Boo!
Boo! Tomato. Boo! God, I hate it here. These are literally two of my favorite people, and we have to lose one, and I'm so mad.
Yeah.
So ultimately, what ended up happening is I believe it was a combination of Kevin and Moose got into Marty's head and suggested Betty as a nominee because then that's one less vote for Jay to stay.
I mean, it makes sense.
It does. Yeah.
It's gross. And see, this is the thing about this whole situation, this game, because I understand the moves. I get the moves. It all makes sense why you're doing what you're doing and why you're saying what you're saying. It's just, I don't like the people you're doing it to. And I don't like that you're doing it to a Betty. And I don't like that you're doing it to Jay. I don't like your target is Jay. But I understand why your target is Jay. Yep. That just sucks.
I can't.
100%.
I'm obviously upset because I don't want to see either one of them go. And at this point, up until I was looking at feed stuff before we went live, it looks like Jay is probably going. It's going to be a close margin because I know there are votes to keep Jay over Betty from certain people. I know Jay will have at least one vote to stay. And that, I believe, is going to be from Jess because I feel like Jess will vote to keep Jay.
Yeah, and I think Jess told them that as well.
I believe so, yes.
A common bond type thing, which a lot of people were trying to call Jess out for it. But I'm like, one, shut the fuck up.
Two, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. It's just it's like a tribalism type thing where if you know, you know. If you've ever been in a game to where you look to your left, look to your right, and there's only one or two other people who kind of have similar things towards you, you might want to stick with them. And even if me and Lana are in a game and I know Lana is for sure going home 100%, and I mean, even if I don't, I'm not voting for. I'm not. I would be like, okay, if that puts a target on my back, so be it. But my morals and how I feel about someone who has common things with me, I'm not doing it.
I was gonna say, Lana and I played a game together on Saturday, and I was going home. We all knew I was going home, and Lana voted to keep me.
I sure did.
Unlike certain people, Esme. But yeah, I'm calling them out here.
Not my daughter.
Yes, your daughter. I'm so sorry, Esme. Yeah, no, they voted me out, sis. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I literally was not going to do that.
And I love you for it. But yes, so okay, let's dive into I'll start with alliances because, like I said earlier, the Savage 7 is the main alliance that is currently happening. However, there are a lot of factions that are also developing as well. I'm just trying to pull up something real quick because I don't want to say anything wrong. So yes, the Savage 7 is the main alliance. Again, that being Kyle, Gino, Moose, Erman, Josh, Summer, and Tanisha. The other large alliances are The Retreat, which is Kyle, Gino, Herman, JC Lynn, and Steph. There's a mutual understanding between Steph, JC Lynn, and Helena. We also know there is a Bros Alliance, which has been kind of shifting as of today. The core members of this being Marty, Gino, and Kyle. Originally, the fourth in that alliance was Moose, but as of today, they're realizing that Moose is not a good idea to work with moving forward. They're going to keep him at bay, but they've decided to bring Herman into their alliance.
Okay. Can I jump in real quick?
Please do, my love.
Moose is getting on my nerves.
100%.
We can dive into the Moose of it all because there's a lot.
Because I mean, and like I said, I have not been caught up on feeds as much as I would like to, but from what I have seen and what I have heard, Moose is doing too much for me, and I think he's all like his targets are disgusting.
Because his new targets are Summer and Tanisha, who are allegedly in this Savage 7 alliance with him.
Right.
Because he went to the Guys Alliance and said, oh yeah, Summer and Tanisha are with, I don't remember if this was Kevin or if this was Moose. Someone correct me because I don't remember. I believe it was Moose, went to Marty and literally told Marty, oh yeah, Summer and Tanisha are good with everyone. They've always been the swing votes. And I'm like, sir, it is week 2 and Melina got evicted by 11-2. Where is the swing in that vote? Anyway,
it was literally like a wrecking ball. That vote. There was no swing in that. It was like
Miley Cyrus came into the BB Can house and took Melina out with a wrecking ball
and tore it up.
Yeah,
like bloom, Melina.
It was Moose because I was like, Moose is so worried throwing like these two women under the bus. He don't realize that his ass is getting thrown out the Bros Alliance.
Yeah.
They're switching you out
quickly.
But you too busy worried about these two women and trying to be like, who could? No, they done switched out. You just got sold up the river. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see him go.
Oh, yes,
Moose eviction party. I will be having the confetti. Poof.
Can we talk about something a little less broy for a second? Because there's a lovely alliance that I love.
Yes.
So there is also Man's Down.
I love that. That's where you're going. I'm like, is this the Man's Down?
There is an all women's alliance, which I'm so happy to see. I don't know how long it's gonna last because it's already kind of cracking a little bit. Thanks to Helena. But the alliance is Betty, Helena, Summer, and Tanisha, which is a fabulous alliance in my opinion. However, there is a working relation. There's a trio that is a very interesting working relationship because the three of them have not established a thing with each other, but each person has a working relationship with the other two, which is really funny. And that's with Kevin, Jess, and Helena. So Kevin and Helena are a very strong duo that no one's expecting. And I kind of love it because Helena is playing the game, whether people think she is or not. She is playing this under the radar, almost rat kind of game. And I'm kind of here for it at this point. But Kevin and Helena have a very strong bond. Helena and Jess have a very strong bond, which I think is very smart for Helena. She seems to be the only person that kind of isn't ostracizing Jess as much as the rest of the house is, which obviously keep all of the bases at bay. And Kevin and Jess are not directly working with each other, but have a good understanding with each other, which is a trio that I think if Jess just didn't have as big of a target on their back, I think this trio could do serious damage. It's an interesting group of people in that regard. The only other large alliance that we see, obviously, is the one we knew from night one, being the Honey Bunch. That is, again, Gino, JC Lynn, Summer, and Josh being the first 4 people into the game. There's also a really good understanding between Marty and Gino. There's a working relationship between Josh, Kevin, Helena, and Jessica, from what I understand, or that's just Marty has working relationships with these people. And yeah, that's pretty much where we're at as far as the alliance lie at the moment. I would say Kevin and Helena are the big pair in the house, but obviously I would also say Summer and Tanisha are the other big duo in the house, which love, period. However, going back to Man's Down, Helena feels so comfortable with Kevin that Helena has been giving information to Kevin, and unbeknownst to her and the rest of the Man's Down alliance, they all think they have Kevin in their pocket, but what they don't understand is that Kevin has been going to Marty, giving him all of their information, which, again, I hate that it's happening to these 4 ladies, but I can't be mad at Kevin for playing this game because I think it is a good move for him. I don't know. Kevin is such an enigma for me because he is playing this villain game and it just doesn't really fit in anywhere, but yet he's fitting in everywhere. He's like, he is the square peg that is somehow fitting in this round hole and fitting in so many of these round holes. And I just don't understand it.
Not at all.
Yeah, it's, we also saw today, Jacey-Lynn and Betty are getting a little bit closer, which I do kind of like that duo for Betty specifically. Not that we love Jacey-Lynn, but I love that Betty has another ally on her side. And then before we talk about the Jay and Kyle of it all, the only other big thing to note, and the house guests have started to notice it, specifically the first one I saw to notice it was my girl Helena. But the red door next to the diary room has a 4-digit number on it that has been slowly decreasing over the last few days of feeds. From what I saw, people seem to believe that it is a number of hours. And from what we understand, that number of hours will drop to 0 in around 2 weeks or so.
Whew. I cannot wait. I just want to see what's going on.
Expect a twist around week 4 or week 5. Okay. Is all I'm going to say at this point. Oh, God. Okay. I'm going to do my best to summarize this Jay versus Kyle situation as succinctly as I possibly can. Because like I said earlier, I don't think either one of them is coming out of this situation looking very great. I don't think either one of them is in the right. I don't think either one of them is in the wrong. Y'all are entitled to have your own separate opinions. That's just me personally. And I'm trying to be as objective as I possibly can because I love Jay and I think they're fabulous. But I'm going to be objective here because I'm giving the information. So Jay went to Kyle at one point over the weekend and told Kyle straight up that they plan to target him when they stay. And Kyle already knew that Jay wanted to take out the bros, the Kyles, the Marty, the Gino, the Moose-ish, and the Herman. So they have a whole conversation. It gets kind of tense. It doesn't really resolve with anything other than a mutual understanding that they are targeting each other. Flash forward about a day and a half or so. I think the timings are right. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. We see Jay having another conversation with Kyle in the storeroom. And this, again, doesn't end with a whole lot other than them mutually understanding that they're targeting each other. But there is a moment where Kyle is saying, I know you want to go after the big guys. And apparently, I didn't see this on feeds directly. I think most of this was blocked from feeds. But apparently, Kyle did some sort of like macho man pose. Which Jay later in retellings of the conversation said that they felt disrespected because Kyle was making monkey noises. Their words, not mine, towards them.
Yeah.
We don't know what happened. I don't know if this will get shown on the show, but there were then retellings of this conversation. Kyle kind of had like I don't remember who, but like 4 or 5 people in a bedroom. And Kyle was saying that Kyle was like retelling the conversation. Jay comes in during the conversation and Kyle finishes his retelling and Jay tells the group, well, do you want to know what really happened? Gives their side of it. And then it's a whole big situation because Kyle then says that he felt disrespected by Jay in last week's veto competition because of the way Jay acted and basically like throwing the comp and making it very obvious that they were trying to have fun in the veto competition from week 1. Jay then, this is the point where Jay brings up to this group the allegation of monkey noises that Kyle was making towards Jay. Again, this doesn't end with either one of them having any sort of resolution other than the fact that they understand, and now the house understands that Jay and Kyle are targeting each other. And that's kind of where this has ended a little bit. There's been a few like minor things. They're not really obviously talking to each other. They're keeping their distance from each other. But that's kind of the gist of this whole Kyle and Jay situation. And like I said at the start, y'all are entitled to have whatever opinion y'all want to have on it. For me, I don't think either one of them looks great. And I don't think either one of them is in the right, nor do I think either one of them is in the wrong.
I don't really know what to feel about it because I didn't see it. I don't know it. And since you're saying nobody saw it, we don't really know.
The initial. Right. I believe the initial conversation was shown. The storeroom situation, I believe, was blocked on feeds.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Is the part where Jay is saying that Kyle did the monkey noises, that was not shown.
I don't think so. Taja would have more. Taja's been a little bit more in tune to feeds than I have, honestly, this weekend. So I don't know if you have any other insight, Taja.
So there is a clip where Kyle does say something and then he does like the, shoulders out arm thing, like
this. Yeah. Like very this. Yeah.
And so there is a clip of that. And then there is a clip of Jay retelling how Kyle did it. And they kind of over exaggerated. Okay. I think neither one of them look good in this situation. Here's my issue. It's these, I'm not even saying white, it's these non-black ass fans on social media trying to tell people what is and isn't racist when it comes to a black person's perspective. Let me tell you guys something. When it and this is to all the Twitter people just piping at the gums who didn't like Jay before, this giving them a reason not to like them even more. Perception is very different for people of color, specifically black people. And if you are white, you're not going to know a gesture like that coming in the eyes of a person of color, especially a black person, could be perceived completely different. And it's like, are you mocking me? Because there's trauma that comes through with things to where people of color are more perceptive over microaggressions that white people may not bat an eyelash at. So my whole issue wasn't really between the two of who's storytelling, even though Kyle can't stand Kyle. And it's just with these fans trying to paint Jay as this that wasn't racist. How are you gonna say that? You can't say what a black person or a person of color thinks is racist because your privilege, you do not have the perception of that. That was my whole thing. Do I feel like Kyle was making gorilla noises, or not even the noises, the whole gesture? The gesture to me was very he was being macho, oh, you want to take down the big boys.
Right. That thing.
But I'm not going to crucify Jay for feeling a certain type of way. Yeah. I'm not going to do it. Not on Beyonce's good fucking internet. No, ma'am.
I agree. I feel like I wish it wouldn't always have to come down to this, but I also wish that white people would just understand that sometimes you just don't get what you're doing, and sometimes it's not even, you might not even be doing what we see, but the trauma, like Tasha said, the trauma that goes along when somebody who is not Black or not a person of color is coming at them in a way, an aggressive way. It's hard not for us to feel like that is your intention. And even things Absolutely. You say, little small microaggressions and things that you might, when you call Black people aggressive, or why do you have to be so, why are you so loud, and why are you so abrasive? It's like, why do I have to be that when I'm just doing the same thing you're doing? Are you aggressive? Because if I called you aggressive, like, I'm not being aggressive, then why am I aggressive? So I feel like, I'm sure it would be so much more easier and comfortable for white people if Black people or people of color didn't bring up the microaggressions or the things that make them uncomfortable, because that's what it's all about. It's about comfortability for white people. They want us to make them feel comfortable. And when we bring up racial issues and things that makes us feel traumatized, we're supposed to let it go and not say anything about it. But that's not how we doing it this time in 2022. We not finna not say anything. And Black folks and people of color are tired of making white people feel comfortable when white people have no problem making us feel uncomfortable. So it's like, if I gotta feel uncomfortable, guess what, sweetie? You got to feel uncomfortable right along with me. And so, do I think Kyle was trying to be racist? No. I don't. If that's what people are, if that's the perception that you all are giving me, and I trust your word and your judgment, I don't think he was trying to be racist. He was trying to be funny and like what boys do. This is about what a man does. This was a man trying to be macho and everything.
Well,
but if that's how Jay took it, Kyle needs to be like, all right, look. That wasn't my intention. I think we talked about this off camera, but when somebody feels a certain way, their feelings are validated.
Of course,
They're valid. And all you have to do is like, look, I apologize for making you feel that way, but that was never my intention to do so. That will end everything. Literally will end it all if people will just acknowledge that people's feelings are valid. Even if it's not your intention to make them feel that way, their feelings are valid. It doesn't make either one of them look good because we don't know the truth, the full story, and maybe Jay took it the wrong way. But if that's the way he took it, perception is huge in all of this,
especially in the Big Brother house.
Especially perception is key. You don't have to be a certain way, but if people perceive you this way, it can ruin your entire game. So I think Jay should have just, I'm not Jay, but Kyle could have easily talked to Jay, and Jay could have easily been like, I get it, I understand. That's just how I feel. That's not much you meant, but I understand. And it could have been squashed and wrapped.
And I don't think that's a conversation that has happened. I hope it does, but I don't know if it will happen. What I will say on that as well, and then we can squash this and move on to something more fun. I don't know. I will obviously not speak on being a person of color because I'm not. Very obviously not a person of color. So I looked at this obviously from the lens that I have being a queer person, especially being a non-binary person. I looked at this as just adding another layer to this. Obviously, like, Jay perceived it in a certain way because Kyle is white, Jay is Black, obviously all of that. I looked at it as well, adding another layer onto that, looking at it as a straight man demeaning a queer person. That's where I'm upset about, the racism of it all, potentially, allegedly, whatever. I looked at it as well from a queer perspective and just looking at that like a straight, like, macho, whatever. And we don't have enough time in the world to talk about toxic masculinity, especially straight people against queer people, especially gay people against other queer people. But
on the flip side, and I'm going to have to, like, Kyle, it could only be Kyle. Kyle cannot be anybody but who he is. And him being this, I don't want us to be like, jump on the whole thing of, Kyle is being, he's,
of course.
his masculinity. Because when we have to definitely be careful, because like even when we talk about racial issues and queer issues and things like that, we want to be careful because we don't want to be like calling somebody homophobic or transphobic or racist or anything else. And I understand why, because just like Black people and people of color get triggered by white people, queer people get triggered by straight people, especially straight white men, because straight white men for so long has had the power and everything. And when you become a queer white man, you still have some power, but it's still something different when somebody who is a straight cis white man is talking to you down or talking at you, not even talking down to you, but just talking at you. It's a power shift that is like, oof, you're still that straight white man. I mean, you're still that white man, so you still have that power. But it's something about when you decide that you're a queer white man, it takes you down just a little bit in the power hierarchy of things. And so, and for Jay, he's a Black queer man who has definitely they are a Black queer man who has gone down further in the power structure of power.
Queer, Black, and non-binary. They are like, they are down.
They're down in the power structure of it all.
And I want to clarify, do I think Kyle is queerphobic, homophobic, transphobic, whatever? No. That's just the lens that I also saw this in, adding a different layer to this whole thing that, again, I don't but I feel like Jay's feelings and their perception of how this went is valid the same way that I feel Kyle not necessarily understanding that is also understandable. And I hope that there can be some sort of resolution for this.
I hope so too.
Anyway, that's a lovely discussion to have. We love having discussion. Oh boy, So, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's where we're at this point. Jay and Betty are on the block for the eviction come Thursday. Right now, it is looking like Jay will be leaving the Big Brother Canada house. Probably not by a unanimous vote. I would bet good money that it won't be unanimous. I feel like it may be a 9-3, 8-4, 10-2 situation. Is kind of where I am at as far as that is concerned, just from my perception. But yeah, I think that might be all. Did we have anything else? I don't know if Taja had any other insights from live feeds that were different, but that's all I really had as far as live feeds are concerned.
Oh my God, I was muted this whole time. No,
no.
Oh my gosh, I hate my life. No, it's
if there's anything you want to bring up with the Jay and Kyle thing, go ahead.
No, I think everything was covered. There's a lot of stuff going on feeds now, which if you want to hear our opinions, you're just gonna have to tune in next time.
Very, very that. Let's throw the normal banner up on screen, because as well, throwing the schedule on screen for y'all, just so you know, when we are going to be going live, we will be back with y'all Thursday at 10:30 Eastern, a little bit after the second live eviction of the season, mostly because we want to see if feeds come back with the HOH. Honestly, that's why we're doing it. Plus, schedules are difficult, and that's a time that works for everybody, so we're doing that. But we will be live Thursday at 10:30 Eastern to talk about the second live eviction of Big Brother Canada Season 10. As always, that's what we think about this Week 2 Monday episode. But let us know in the comments and on Twitter what y'all think. Subscribe, like, comment, share, do whatever you can with whatever platform you're watching on your way out. And with that, lovelies, cheers to all.
Cheers.
You can't see, but I'm holding up a cup. Clink, clink.
Period.
All right. Bye, guys. Bye, guys.
Bye.